In a quiet town, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, the air was thick with an unusual tension. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows that danced across the ground. It was a day like any other until the news broke. A rescue team had been alerted to a dire situation involving a white dog and her litter of puppies, trapped in an abandoned shack just beyond the edge of town. But this was no ordinary rescue. The shack was rumored to be infested with millions of strange parasite snakes, slithering through the cracks and crevices, creating a sense of dread that loomed over the community. The white dog, affectionately named Snowball by the townsfolk, had been a stray for as long as anyone could remember. She was a resilient creature, known for her gentle demeanor and striking appearance. Her coat shimmered like fresh snow, and her eyes sparkled with an intelligence that seemed to understand the world around her. When she gave birth to a litter of puppies in the old shack, it was both a miracle and a cause for concern. The shack, once a lively home, had fallen into disrepair, and the surrounding woods had become a breeding ground for all manner of creatures, including the infamous parasite snakes. These snakes were not like any ordinary serpents. They were a bizarre phenomenon, known for their peculiar ability to latch onto their hosts, feeding off their energy and vitality. The townsfolk had heard stories of these creatures, whispered tales of their strange appearance and their insatiable hunger. As the rumors spread, fear gripped the community. Parents warned their children to stay away from the woods, and the local authorities were called to investigate. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the rescue team gathered at the edge of the forest. Comprised of volunteers from the community, animal lovers, and seasoned rescue workers, they were armed with flashlights, nets, and a determination to save Snowball and her puppies. Leading the team was Jenna, a spirited woman with a heart of gold and an unwavering passion for animal welfare. She had rescued countless animals in her lifetime, but this mission felt different. The stakes were higher and the fear of the unknown loomed large. With each step deeper into the woods, the air grew heavier, thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Jenna could feel the weight of the mission pressing down on her, but she pushed forward, her resolve unwavering. The team moved cautiously, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, illuminating the twisted branches and underbrush that surrounded them. As they approached the shack, a sense of foreboding settled in the pit of Jenna's stomach. The structure loomed before them, dilapidated and eerie, a shell of its former self. The first thing they noticed was the silence. The usual sounds of the forest, the chirping of crickets, the rustling of leaves, had faded into an unsettling stillness. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Jenna exchanged worried glances with her team before they moved closer to the entrance of the shack. The door hung ajar, creaking softly in the breeze, and as they stepped inside, a chill ran down Jenna's spine. The interior was dark and musty, the air thick with the smell of mold and decay. The faint sound of whimpering reached their ears, and Jenna's heart leaped. Snowball was nearby, and she could sense her fear. "Stay close," Jenna whispered to her team, her voice barely above a whisper. They fanned out, shining their flashlights into the shadows, searching for the source of the sound. It didn't take long to find her. In a corner of the shack, huddled together for warmth, were Snowball and her puppies. The sight tugged at Jenna's heartstrings. The puppies were small, their eyes barely open, and they clung to their mother, who looked weary but protective. Jenna knelt down, her heart swelling with compassion. "We're here to help you, Snowball," she said softly, reaching out a hand. But as she moved closer, she felt a sudden shift in the atmosphere. A slithering sound echoed through the shack, and the hairs on the back of her neck stood on end. The parasite snakes began to reveal themselves, emerging from the shadows like a living nightmare. They were long and thin, their scales glistening in the dim light, and their movements were erratic, as if they were drawn to the warmth of the living beings in the room. Panic surged through Jenna as she backed away, urging her team to do the same. "We need to get them out of here, now!" she shouted, her voice filled with urgency. The team sprang into action, their training kicking in as they formed a protective barrier around Snowball and her puppies. They knew they had to act quickly. The snakes were not just a threat to the dog and her litter, but to everyone in the shack. With a combination of calm and chaos, the rescue team worked to create an escape route. They used nets to capture the snakes, carefully avoiding any contact with the creatures that could potentially latch onto them. Jenna's heart raced as she monitored the situation, her eyes darting between the snakes and the trembling puppies. She could see Snowball's anxiety, her protective instincts kicking in as she growled softly, warning the team to stay back. "Keep going, we're almost there," Jenna encouraged her team, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. They carefully maneuvered around the snakes, inching closer to Snowball. Finally, they managed to scoop up the puppies one by one, cradling them gently in their arms. Jenna felt a surge of relief as she held the first puppy, its tiny body trembling against her palm. With the puppies secured, the team turned their attention to Snowball. Jenna approached her slowly, speaking in soothing tones. "You're safe now, girl. We're going to get you out of here." Snowball looked at her with wide, trusting eyes, and Jenna felt a bond form in that moment, a shared understanding of fear and hope. As they prepared to make their escape, the snakes began to react. They writhed and twisted, their movements becoming more frantic. Jenna could feel the tension in the air, a palpable sense of danger that threatened to engulf them. "We need to move now!" she shouted, urging the team to follow her lead. With the puppies safely in their arms, they dashed toward the exit, their hearts pounding in unison. The snakes seemed to sense their urgency, and a wave of panic swept through the shack. Jenna could hear the frantic hissing as the creatures lunged toward them, their bodies twisting and turning in a chaotic dance. The team burst through the door, the cool night air hitting their faces like a refreshing wave. But they weren't out of the woods yet. The snakes followed them, their numbers overwhelming. The team sprinted toward the safety of the forest, adrenaline fueling their every step. Jenna glanced back, her heart racing as she saw the writhing mass of snakes spilling out of the shack, their eyes glinting in the moonlight. "Keep going, don't look back," she shouted, pushing herself to run faster. The sound of the snakes was deafening, a cacophony of hisses and slithering bodies that threatened to drown out her thoughts. They needed to reach the safety of the clearing, where they could regroup and assess the situation. Finally, they broke through the trees and into the open space. The moon bathed the clearing in a silvery glow, and Jenna felt a moment of relief wash over her. They had made it, but the danger was far from over. The snakes were still pursuing them, their movements relentless. The team quickly set up a perimeter, using nets and makeshift barriers to keep the snakes at bay. Jenna placed the puppies on the ground, ensuring they were safe and secure. She turned her attention to Snowball, who was panting heavily, her body trembling with fear. "You did so well, girl," Jenna whispered, stroking the dog's fur gently. "We're going to get you and your puppies to safety." As the team worked together, they devised a plan to contain the snakes. They knew they couldn't simply leave them to roam free. They had to find a way to capture them without putting themselves in danger. With their flashlights shining brightly, they set to work, using nets and traps to corral the snakes into one area. Hours passed and the night wore on. The team was exhausted, but their determination fueled them. They shared stories of their own pets, their love for animals, and the importance of this mission. Jenna felt a sense of camaraderie building among them, a bond forged in the heat of crisis. They were not just rescuers, they were a family united by a common goal. As dawn approached, the first light of day broke through the trees, casting a warm glow over the clearing. The snakes, now contained, writhed helplessly in the nets, their movements slowing as the sun rose higher in the sky. Jenna felt a wave of relief wash over her as she looked around at her team, their faces weary but triumphant. With the snakes secured, they turned their attention back to Snowball and her puppies. Jenna knelt down, her heart swelling with pride as she watched the puppies play, their spirits unbroken despite the chaos of the night. Snowball approached her, nuzzling against her hand, and Jenna felt a deep sense of connection to this brave mother. "We did it, girl," she said softly, her voice filled with emotion. "You and your puppies are safe now." As the rescue team prepared to transport Snowball and her puppies to a nearby shelter, Jenna knew this was just the beginning. They had faced the unknown, battled their fears, and emerged victorious. The town would rally around Snowball and her puppies, ensuring they received the love and care they deserved. In the days that followed, the story of Snowball and her puppies spread throughout the community. The town came together to support the rescue efforts, organizing fundraisers and adoption events. Snowball became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could shine through. Jenna often thought back to that night in the shack, the fear and uncertainty that had gripped her heart. But she also remembered the strength of her team, the bond they had forged, and the joy of saving a life. Snowball and her puppies had become more than just a rescue mission. They had become a testament to the power of compassion and the unwavering spirit of those who fight for the voiceless. As she watched Snowball and her puppies thrive in their new home, Jenna felt a profound sense of fulfillment. She knew that their journey was far from over, but together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the end, it wasn't just about rescuing a dog and her puppies. It was about the love that connected them all, the hope that blossomed in the face of adversity, and the belief that every life, no matter how small, mattered.